Hello, aspirants. Welcome to Olive Board. I hope you all are doing great and everything is well with you. So, today we are going to discuss about JAIIB, that is Junior Associate of Indian Institute of Bankers. Before we begin, if you are new to this channel, please don't forget to subscribe the channel and press the bell icon so that you don't miss any important update regarding JIIB exam. We are coming up with many such videos in which we are going to inform you about the strategy to clear this exam, and then we are planning to have some marathon session as well. So please be updated with the updates of this channel, and let's start. First of all, let's understand what is this JIIB. See, it stands for Junior Associate of Indian Institute of Bankers, first of all, as I've already told you. It is conducted twice a year by IIBF. And what is the full form of IIBF? It is Indian Institute of Banking and Finance. This is a body that is concerned with the Indian banks. Now, generally, it was conducted during the months of May and November, as it's twice a year. But due to COVID pandemic, the schedule has been disturbed and the exam shifted to other months. But now everything is coming back to place. So we are having this exam in January for this usually which was held in November. So it's now in January. Then after that, it is expected that the exam will be conducted on time. Now, why is it so important for you to clear this exam in this attempt or the next one? Because from the next year, the exam pattern is changing and a new subject has been introduced as well. So it will become more competitive, it will become more difficult for you to clear that exam. So that's why we are trying to make sure to help you all attempt this paper in this attempt and clear it in this attempt only. All right. Now, this is conducted for the post of Junior Associate of Indian Institute of Bankers. That's the post. That's the certification that you're going to get, right? Now, the candidates who are existing employees of the banking and finance industry are only eligible to apply for this exam twice a year. So, if you are a banker or if you are in some financial institution like NABARD, or if you are in RBI regulatory body, so these people who are concerned with the finance industry can appear for this exam. What are the other eligibility criteria? So you must have passed your 10th standard exam. First of all, let's talk about this. Then, as I've already told you, you must be a banker and you must be linked to this finance industry. Plus, it should be made sure that if you are a candidate and if your employer is not registered with the IIBF, then you cannot appear for this exam. All right. Now, the next point that is here is the subordinate staff of recognized banks and financial institutions can also appear for this exam, given that they are clear, they already have cleared their 10th standard. So that is the minimum eligibility criteria to appear for this exam. Now, while we were talking about IIBF, I want to add a fact here. Shri Rajneesh Kumar is the president of IIBF, who is also the chairman of State Bank of India. All right, so let's move on. Why to take JIB? Why should you prepare for this exam? So let's talk about this point now. So see, bank officials in any Indian bank and officers in national banks get one increment after passing this JIIB exam. So this one increment is it's really important because only after you clear this JIIB exam, after that only you can appear for CAIIB. So once you pass JIIB, you're going to get one increment, and then when you appear for this CIIB, then and if you pass that exam, you're going to get another increment. So in total you can get two increment from these exams, and they really account for a lot as you're a banker, and you should be aware of the see what happens. apart from the monetary benefits, there are other things as well, because this exam is designed in such a way, the syllabus is designed in such a way that it offers in-depth technical training on all kind of Indian banking activities. So such kind of knowledge equips the professionals to perform duties efficiently and boost career growth in a short period. So even if you are appearing for suppose a promotional interview in bank, then as well it is very beneficial if you have cleared these exams. Apart from that, the knowledge that you're going to gain, that is going to contribute so much to your career, because this in this course you would see, while you are preparing for JIIB, you would see all the things, all the activities that the Indian banking is involved in. Everything is extensively covered in the syllabus, and hence you come out to be a individual who is equipped with the professional knowledge of all these things, and which is obviously making you a better mm, professional in your career. Okay, so no doubt you're going to get some extra marks in the promotions as well, and the questions that are asked in the promotional interviews are also mostly aligned with this JIIB and CIIB syllabus as well. So it is very beneficial for you to appear for this exam and clear this exam, and as soon as you clear it, it is definitely going to contribute a lot, because it is going to award you increment. Now, the JIB exam helps banking and finance professionals to get job in many other related industry, such as foreign exchange, treasury, etc. So when we are studying in this the subjects of this JIB, you would feel, as I've already told you, you would come out to be a much equipped professional with the knowledge and idea of the banking activities, and that is going to help you in getting a job in related fields as well. Plus that certification contributes a lot. So even if you are appearing for an interview in any financial regulatory body, or suppose any DFI or anything, so in that as well you are going to get some extra marks because you have cleared this exam. So this is overall a very fruitful and very beneficial exam, and you must appear for it and must try to clear it in the first attempt itself. No worries for those who have already appeared for it and were not able to clear it in the first attempt. No problem, we are going to talk about that as well in the coming slides. But try to give your best in this attempt, and it doesn't matter if it took you more number of attempts, but finally what matters is you're going to get that increment and you're going to get that certification, which is going to be with you forever. All right, now let's talk about what are the papers in this JIB exam. So the candidates who are eligible to appear for the exam need to know the subjects of this exam. The subject of the exams are one of that will be tested in this exam. So we have 3 papers till now. So we are the exam pattern, and there is a notification which came recently, and the exam pattern is going to change from the November 2022 attempt. So till then you have 2 attempts to clear the exam with the previous syllabus. So for now we have these 3 papers, and in the next year, at the end of the next year, one new subject is getting introduced. So this is also a motivational factor to clear the exam in this attempt and the next one, in order to see the subject that has been added is also very interesting and you would really love to study it. But as if you have filled the form and you have the opportunity to clear the exam with just passing these 3 papers, so it is definitely preferable and it is easier in this attempt and the next one. So prepare wisely for this. Now let's talk about the syllabus of the exam. So first we are going to talk about the principle and practices of banking, that is the paper 1 of JIB exam. So initially we had these 4 modules A, B, C and D, but only last year this module E has been introduced, that is related to this ethics in banks and financial institutions. So this has been recently added, and This is also a very interesting and scoring part. So in the coming sessions that we have planned for you all, we are going to talk about the strategy to clear all of these papers and all of these modules individually. So for now, we are just having a brief introduction of what all we have here in the JIB exam. Now, the first module is regarding the Indian financial system. Then, after getting this introduction to the Indian financial system, we move on to the functions of the bank. In this, we talk about all the activities that a bank performs. So, basically, a bank was there for accepting deposits and lending it to the borrowers. So this was the definition of a bank. But nowadays there are so many other activities that are performed by the banks, which are allowed to the banks by the Banking Regulations Act. So the businesses that a bank can perform is given in the Banking Regulations Act, in section 6 of Banking Regulations Act. So we are going to see particularly which section and what all is included in that in our course of JIB exam. For now, I'm just telling you a brief introduction of what each topic has for you. Now in this module B, we extensively covered this all kind of activities, be it foreign exchange, be it the non-credit based facilities, credit based facilities, all these things we are going to cover in the functions of bank. Then we have the banking technology, that is the module C of this PPB. So after that, we have the support services, that is the marketing of banking services or the products. And at last, as I have already told you, module E has been added recently, which is about the ethics in banks and financial institutions. So let's see what we have in the paper 2. So we are going to talk about the passing marks in the coming slides, but you need to make sure that out of these subjects, at least you should have your grip strong in two subjects, so that even if you are not that good in the third one, you would be able to pass this exam. All right, so that I'm going to tell in the coming slides. For now, let's talk about paper 2, that is accounting and finance for bankers. So the module A of accounting and finance for bankers, that is the AFB paper of JIIB, is business mathematics and finance. So what is there in this chapter? See, we talk about the various calculations. So see, this paper 2 is mostly about numericals. So we try to practice as much numericals as we can in order to clear this one. And there are definitely few concepts as well, but everything is there. See, concepts are required for you to solve the numericals, but at the end, the most important part for you to clear this exam is to practice a lot of numericals. So we have individual strategies for all three papers, whereas if we are talking about the paper 2, case study based questions and the numericals are the key to clear this exam. Okay, then let's talk about the other things that are there. So in this module, that is the business mathematics and finance, we talk about the calculation of interest and annuities. So for that also we need to understand few theoretical concepts so that we can solve the numericals, because see, in exam they are not going to tell you exactly which kind of annuity it is. So although I don't want to get into the details yet, because I hope that you are starting your preparation. I think that you're a beginner now, so don't worry about these terms. We are going to cover all these things extensively in the course that we have planned for all of you. So the example that I was telling you is that in the calculation of interest and annuity, we have two types of annuities. We have the annuity due and ordinary annuity. So in exam, they are not going to tell you which kind of annuity is this. They are going to just tell you that the payment is being received at the end of every month, and you should know that it is the case of ordinary annuity. when the payment is done after utilizing after the end of every month. So that's the case of ordinary annuity. Whereas when we talk about annuity due, it is like the rent payments that we do. So we give it in advance. So every month on first of every month we are paying this annuity due. Whereas when we talk about ordinary annuity, it is at the end of every month. So it doesn't matter. It's not necessary that it is always a month. Sometimes the period can be a quarter, a year, or anything. But if the payment is being made at the start of it, it is annuity due. Whereas if the payment is made at the end of it, then it is ordinary annuity. So only if you're clear with the theoretical concept, you will be able to solve the numericals in exam. Now, what else we have in this unit? So in module A, we also have the concept of yield to maturity, that is YTM. And numericals from this topic are must in exam. So they are always asked, and they are really scoring because they always, usually they come in 2 markers. So that also is there. And then we have the capital budgeting. So in that we are going to cover so many things like the present value and the discounting, so present value of money, and then we have the internal rate of return, and so many other things are there in this topic. So that all you need to prepare in this topic module. Then we talk about and another thing that is very important from this topic is the concept of depreciation and its accounting. So what happens is this depreciation is one of the it's literally a very common word that we use, that we hear of. But and plus when we are talking about this exams point of view, the questions are very straightforward from this topic. So this is a highly scoring area for you. So see, we cannot cover everything in that detail, but we need to find out the areas which are more scoring plus high yielding. So it's not the case that if there is something that is very difficult but it's giving us 2 marks, so we should focus on the low hanging fruits first, which are easier for us to understand and make correct in the exam. So depreciation is one such topic that also is there in this module. Then we have foreign exchange arithmetic as well in the module A of this AFB. Then we move on to the module B, that is principles of bookkeeping and accountancy. So what is there? So first of all, there are certain accounting standards that we study in this module. So these accounting standards and questions from this accounting standards are always asked. But there are so many accounting standards. So we need to come up with a way to understand it in a very efficient way, and in order to retain it for the exam. Then we have the basic accounting procedures like going concern entity that you might have heard of, etc. So let's not go into the detail of every chapter because that will make this video really lengthy. We are going to discuss about the strategy, and in that video I'm going to tell you the importance of every topic, because every topic is not uniformly distributed. If we are talking about the marks distribution, it's not uniform for every topic, and there are certain topics which are asked for more number of marks. So for that we are going to try to pay much attention. So all these things and the strategy we are going to talk about in the coming sessions. Now the third one is final accounts. So in the final accounts module we talk about this balance sheet equation that is there. Then ratio analysis is the most important part of this final accounts. Then we have the company accounts. Then this computerized environment, accounting in computerized environment. So all these things we cover in this module. Then the module D is there, which is there for banking operations. So we talk about KYC here, and what are the requirements, KYC requirement for different kind of customers. Okay, so there are different requirements that we talk about in this module. Alright, so this is about the paper 2 of the JIB exam. Then let's talk about the paper 3, that is the legal and regulatory aspect of banking. First of all, we have the regulations and compliance. So see, when we are talking about this legal and regulatory aspect of banking, I must tell you, although it's not difficult, but there is a lot to remember in this topic, and it's the material, if you go by the book, it is really bulky. And because we need to remember the sections that are there, in which section of Banking Regulations Act this particular thing is given, all these things. So we have to come up with a smart way to prepare for this. So in the coming sessions we are going to talk about that as well. Okay, so regulations and compliance. In this module we talk about the legal frameworks of regulation of banks, like what are the frameworks that are there to govern the banking activities. So first of all, we talk about the constitution of the bank, how it's constituted, and we talk about the Banking Regulations Act, we talk about RBI Act, and what is the role of RBI, what is the role of this government as a regulator of banks. So although we say that RBI regulates the banks, there are certain provisions in the Banking Regulations Act which empowers the government as well to regulate the banks. Okay, so that also we are going to talk about in the legal framework of regulation of banks. Now the next thing that we talk about in the module A is the regulation of banking business in detail. So we talk about what are the guidelines that are issued by these acts that we talk about, then powers of RBI to issue directions for the banks, and which power of RBI is given under which act. So is it under RBI Act or is it under the Banking Regulations Act? All these things we talk about in this module. Then we have discussion over this public sector banks and the cooperative banks also in the module. After that we talk about the cooperative banks. See, when we are done talking about this, and also the regional rural banks we talk about in detail, because there are certain exceptions in the case of RRBs, that also we talk about in this module. Okay, so then when we are talking about the module B, and in this, first of all we talk about the various kinds of the borrowers and the different kind of credit facility. So it's not always, see, the borrowers are not always, the rules for borrowers are not always the same. We are not talking about anything partial, but there are different rules for different kind of borrowers that you will come to know when we come to this module, that is module B of LRB. Then we have the module C, which contains banking related laws. So I must say that this subject LRB is containing so many, it's having so many laws to remember. But the good news is you don't need to mug up everything. There are certain things which are required for the exam. There are certain things which are important for you as a banker to know, and we are just going to talk about those things. And no need to worry about each and every section of Banking Regulations Act or RBI Act or anything else. Okay, then the module D is about commercial laws with reference to the banking operation. So again, there is so much relating to the laws of this that are concerned with the banking industry that we need to study for the LRB paper. So people get confused, and they get see, in this exam we get the case study based questions, that okay, this is the case, this is the bank, and this is the situation, what that bank must do at this situation. So you need to answer as per the law, and there are various other kind of questions that are asked, but you need to remember the important laws in order to answer those questions. So that's why it requires slightly more time to complete this syllabus of this paper. But don't worry, it's really easy and it is really interesting. So let's talk about the next thing now. What is the exam pattern? So for each paper, the exam pattern is, so we have 3 papers as we have already talked about. It is in the online mode only. Then there are multiple choice questions, and in total there are 120 questions, and it includes the questions that are based on case study also. What is the mark distribution? So 100 marks are there, and there are certain questions. So we have the three type of questions. So the first one is half marker, okay, then the second one is 1 marker, and the third one is 2 marker question. So and in total we get, so the distribution varies every year, but in total we have 120 questions and 100 marks. One positive thing about this exam is there is no negative marking in this paper. Then the time is 120 minutes, that is 2 hours. Medium is English and Hindi both, okay. Now what is the passing criteria, which is the most common question that aspirants ask? See, the passing criteria is you must score 50 out of 100. This is the passing criteria, but there is a twist. If you are not able to score 50 in one of the subjects and you score 45 marks in that subject, and in the other subjects you covered it up in such a way that in total in the 3 papers you have 150 marks, then you are considered to be passed in the exam. So that means, see, the minimum score is 45 marks in each subject, but the aggregate should be 50%. So in total, when we see, suppose if you have scored 45 marks in one paper, so suppose you have scored 45 in the PPB paper, and in the second and third paper, that is the AFB and legal, you have secured 55 and 60 marks. So in any way, and even if you have scored just 55 in the AFB and in legal also you have just scored 50, then also you are considered to be passed in this exam, because your overall score is touching 150, and hence you are clear. So that's why I say make one subject, at least one subject should be a strong area. And in fact I just suggest to have 2 subjects in which you are really strong, so that even in the if in the third subject you are able to score just 45 marks, just the passing marks, still you will be able to clear the exam in total, okay. Then the candidates will be allowed to retain the credits for the subject they have passed. So this is a very good point in the exam. You can retain for a specific number of attempts, obviously, so that we are going to talk about, but you can retain. So if you have not managed to clear all the papers, but you have cleared the first paper, then you can carry it forward. You can retain the credits for this subject, that is the PPB that you have passed in this attempt, till the expiry time of the passing for the exam. So what is the expiry time? Let's have a look. So the candidate will be required to pass the exam within limit of 2 years, that is 4 consecutive attempts. So you cannot take that past paper any further after the 4 consecutive attempts or 2 years. The candidate not able to pass exam within the stipulated time of 2 years are required to re-enroll themselves afresh, and such candidates will not be granted the credits for the subjects passed, if any, earlier. So after this period of 2 years of 4 consecutive attempts, the paper that you have already passed, that is that does not carry forward, and it is you can think of it as it is lapsed, and you don't get that credit any longer. Then you have to clear all the 3 papers afresh. You have to think that this is your first attempt and you have to clear every paper again. Then the time limit of 2 years will start from the date of application of the first attempt. So the attempt will be counted irrespective of whether a candidate appears for any exam or otherwise. So it doesn't matter if you have not appeared for a exam in the period of that 4 consecutive attempts, it is still counted. The period of time limit of 2 years, it is still counted, okay. So you have to clear within this time limit in order to avoid writing the exam which you have already passed again. Then strategy. So this we are keeping for the next session, when we will be talking about the strategy for this exam, where I'll be telling you what are the expected number of questions from each module that are asked. Because see, in this exam, strategy is the most important thing. Why is it so? Because out of the 4 modules, so if we are talking about suppose AFB, so the initial modules are more important than the later ones. So, and it's not just a prediction. Every year we have seen more number of questions from these modules. So we cannot afford to miss these modules which are having higher weightage. So yes, weightage is there for a specific. So this is all not given somewhere or written somewhere, but as we can analyze the pattern from previous few years, this has been continued, and the weightage is more or less similar in every attempt, in every time the exam is conducted. So I'm going to tell you about what you can do, what all you can do in order to clear this exam, in order to clear the paper which you are weak in order to score more in the area which is the strong part for you. So we'll be discussing all about it in the coming sessions. All right, now what do we have for all of you regarding this JIIB exam? So see, this year we have come up with an excellent course in which we are going to cover everything in detail. So see, although we have the material, we have the books, I also really recommend the Macmillan books for the JIIB exam because they are given by the IIBF. But sometimes reading all the bulky material is not that easy for us, and in order to grasp the important things, you should know how to filter out what is important and what is not important, giving more focus to the areas which are more relevant for the exam, which are asked every year, which are asked in volumes every year. In this way we can make sure to score more. This is optimizing your strategy. So we have come up with various courses. So first of all, you have the JIB selection course that contains all the paper video course in one pack. So you just have to buy this one course and you will get access to all the papers that are there, paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, and we have other things as well. So we are going to discuss about it in the next slide. Then if you have cleared one or two papers and you just want to prepare for one or two paper, you can buy our modular courses. So this PPB, that is the principles and practices of banking, paper 1 course is there. Then we have the AFB course similar to the first one, and the LRB course. So you can even buy the individual courses going to our websites. You can get the JIB mocks which are curated in such a way that it matches the pattern of the actual exam. Then why to choose Olive Board? See, we have experienced faculty led courses that are and that we have introduced this year. Then well curated mock test as per the exam pattern. Every question that you will see in the mock test will be designed in a way to make your mind work as if it is there in the actual exam, because the question, the language of the question, everything will be matched to the real questions of the JIB exam. So this we have put a lot of effort to make the mock test in such a way that it really creates an environment for you, for your mind to practice the questions in the of exactly the same type in the pattern that actual JIB exam is asked. So the questions that are asked in the main exam, we have covered the everything in that manner only. Then we have the live interactive doubt session and practice session there for you, where you can interact with the faculty and ask all your queries that you have related to this exam, and everything is addressed immediately, and you will get proper guidance to clear this exam. Then exam specific content with special focus on the concepts. So as I have already told you, even though the paper 2 is totally this numerical extensive, but see what happens in the paper 2 also, there are so many numericals in paper 2, that's right. But as I've already told you, they would use some terms in the question which, if you don't have the conceptual clarity, you won't be able to solve them. So for that we have curated this course in a way that it is having a very special focus to the concepts, and then we practice the numericals. We have the interactive classes where you can discuss all your doubts that you're having. Then you get the access to expert guidance on clearing the exam. So all these things are there in the course. All right, now let's talk about the important dates for this particular attempt, that is on this 9th November. So this registration first of all is from 9th November. So pardon me, the exam date is 8 January, and registration starts from 9th November 2021 and ends with late fees 29th November 2021. So if you have not filled the form, please fill it quickly. Then what are the exam dates? Exam dates for this 2021 November attempt is January 8th. So we call it November attempt anyways, if even if it is not taking place on November month, but still it's called the second attempt of the year, so we call it November attempt only. So it's taking place on 8th January. So the date of the paper 1 will be 8th January. Then you get some few days time to prepare for the next paper, to revise for the next paper, and second paper is there, and after few days the third paper is there. So you can prepare your revision notes accordingly. Okay, so this was it about today's session. We thought of just introducing you with the exam pattern and various aspect of this exam in the coming session. So this was a basic session in which we just talked about the basically an introduction of the JIIB exam. Now in the coming sessions we are trying to come up with some strategy videos in which we can guide you how to proceed, how to strategize, and how to make your preparation inclined to the exam pattern, and not to study everything but to focus your energy on the important aspect, important parts, and just remember what is required for you to remember. So no one is expecting you to know all the sections of Banking Regulations Act, but there are few important ones that you must remember. So everything we'll be talking about in the coming sessions. Thank you so much for attending this class. Kindly share this video with all your friends, and again I would remind you all to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any important update that is there regarding this JIIB exam. We are going to come up with many such videos in the coming days. Thank you so much once again.